Hey Isaac, how you doing? So you're talking to me about my party the other day on Saturday about making flatbreads, and I was kind of explaining what I do, and then I was like, there's too many little details, so I'm actually going to make like a video for you and show you how I make flatbread. This isn't like any kind of official recipe or culturally relevant or anything like that. This is just like how I make the ones I did for the party and how I like just do them consistently, really. So ingredients: flour, oil, water, water, salt, baking powder, cool. So really simple. Just gonna make a dough with these. And what I normally do is I just weigh everything out by scale because it keeps more consistent than using a cup measure. I'm going with 125 grams of flour. It would be better if you sift it. I haven't found that it really matters for this one. Normally what I will do is just loosen it just a little and make a well in the center for the liquids. And then I just tear off the scale. So that's 125 grams of flour, and then I'm going to put 60 grams of water, 15 of oil, and just like a half a teaspoon of baking powder. I'm also going to put not a crazy amount, but a reasonable amount of salt, like teaspoon-ish, half teaspoon maybe, depending on if you're using like an official measurement. Get some water. I'm literally gonna watch the scale as I pour the water in. This is going to be 60 grams of water. 50, 61. And 15 grams of the oil. There we go. Just a little bit over on the liquids, but probably what I'll do is I'll just overflour a little bit, and then that's all the measuring. Baking powder, literally like, it's a small teaspoon, but yay as much. What I normally do is like this. Kind of start to mix it together in the bowl. You could do this with like a well on the bench, but it's easy this way because you can measure all the ingredients into the same bowl. Once it's starting to loosely come together, just dump it out onto your bench, just like that. We're gonna have what you want. It's a fairly moist dough. It come together really quickly. And you were talking about kneading it. I'm actually like not really kneading it at all. I'm just bringing it together with my hands until it can form a ball. And you'll get kind of a really, you don't want a really wet dough, but you don't want a really like super stiff This is actually probably just a tiny bit too wet, but I'm not too stressed about that. Now once it starts to come together in a ball, look, this is just a tiny bit sticky. Tiny bit of flour, and that was because that extra 1 gram of water and oil that got in there. Now I'm kind of kneading a little, but not really, because I'm just giving it a couple of good presses to compact it, and then I'm just rolling it into a nice ball like this. That's it. That's it. Okay. So that's my dough. And like I was saying, I'm not going to go in with the wet tea towel. I'm going to get a piece of Glad wrap, and I'm going to just wrap it up like so. The dough should feel quite soft, not super firm. Now I'm gonna rest that in the fridge literally for about half an hour, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I roll them out and the temperature I fry them at. Alright, cool, welcome back. This time you're on the bench action cam. So here you have the dough, it's rested. Actually it was in the fridge for about an hour. Now, I know that this recipe makes 4 tortillas, so I'm just going to cut this in quarters. But for reference, I have weighed these. Each tortilla should be about 50 grams. Also, if you want larger tortillas, what you need to do is actually weigh out larger amounts of dough, because you don't want to make the tortillas larger by making them too thin, because that'll also cause them to burn. So I'm just going to roll them into balls, and then I'm going to just make sure they're really well dusted. Put them aside. Just one by one. I'm actually going to just flatten them out a little bit. Because of the way I've cut these, it's actually really hard to get them into balls properly. Just dusting it. See, that one's not going to be a perfect circle. But you know, it's actually not too big of a deal, because I mean, if they're not quite the right shape, it's rustic. Good. I'm just flouring them mostly so that they don't stick to the bench while I wait, but also because, I mean, they're going to need more flour anyway. There we go. So, roll them out. So I want to be fairly liberal with my flour. And I'm going to just you can already see that's not quite even, but And really just make sure it's well dusted all the time, because you don't want to, what you don't want to do is press really hard and stress the gluten too much. You actually want to be really gentle. I'm actually, when I'm rolling it, I'm not applying very much pressure at all. I'm just gently going back and forth. I actually don't know how much that matters, but because I've seen those tortilla presses and I think they're actually quite harsh, but I think maybe just the fact that you do it all in one go is better or something, I'm not sure. Usually you can kind of correct for the shape during the process of rolling it, get it a bit more circular. I'm not sure what that speck is. It's like for a 50-gram tortilla, I guess it's hard to see, but this isn't really thin. It's about the size of my palm. If I go smaller than that, I'm going to burn it. So I'm going to stack it there, put a bit more flour. That's just because I don't want the next one on top of it to stick. And then I'll just do the rest. Okay, so I've got my tortillas and I've got my pan ready now. So I don't want to turn it like just completely full. I go about here, so that's like 3/4 and a bit, so maybe 4/5 temperature. Just because if you turn it on full heat, it really just blasts them too hard. Also, I'm using a fairly sort of, it's not super thick, but you don't want to use like a really thin bottom aluminium pan for this. You want something that's actually going to retain some heat. So I've turned it on and I'm really going to let it heat up for a couple of minutes until it's like hot. And then I'll show you what it looks like. Okie doke, there we go. Oh yeah, that's right. Isaac, I'll tell you my other trick that I always use with these ones. Shit, I'm actually out of damn it. I should have gotten more aluminium foil. So normally what you do is you have a piece of aluminium foil laid out twice as wide as your flatbreads, and you put it on half of them and you fold it over. That's to kind of keep the heat in them. What I'm going to do here, I reckon, is I'll get like the lid from that pan. This. There you go, perfect. Because kind of what I want is, after I cook them, I'm going to chuck them down on this foil, and I want them to sort of steam themselves a little bit, I guess. I'm not sure why, but it helps them become a bit more pliable afterwards. I find it really helpful. Okay, that's getting really hot. That's been heating up for a few minutes now. So let's bring you right over. Yeah, come right over here. Because you want to... Cool, alright. Yeah, it's proper hot now. I'm going to Take my flatbread, flap it right down there. Now I'm just waiting to see, I should see a bunch of little bubbles all forming on it all at once. It's going to start to like puff up, and that's when I want to flip it. So I can already see them. Yeah, see? That's nice. These are just starting to come up now. Gonna flip it. You can let it go just a little bit longer at a higher heat to get those little dots on it. But the problem is if you let them go too far, that's what causes it to burn and get a crispy outer. This is probably just a little bit not quite hot enough. I should be starting to actually get more coloration by now. But it doesn't hurt to flip it plenty, because what you really don't want to do is burn the exterior of it. So you can see it's already becoming nice and pliable. Just going to kind of keep watching it and flipping it until it develops more colour. This takes about 2 minutes, I guess. See, look, this is almost done. You don't want too many brown spots, because again, that's just showing that it's getting overcooked and too crispy. This is just if you want a nice, soft, pliable flatbread that you can use for like a wrap or something. I guess if you're going for something a little different, you might not do it this way. But I really like these because you can actually use them as, you know, a base for a wrap or some sort of sandwich. So look at this, I can see that I've got some of these just golden brown markings on it. It's just about done. I'll probably flip it one more time. Yeah, see? That's what I want, just like that. Any more than that, you'll start getting really darker and blacker bits. Any less, it wouldn't quite be right. Perfect. Yep. So that one goes off. I'm just putting that pot lid on top of it. The next one, this pan will be a bit hotter, so this will go a bit faster. Boom, like that. When you flop it down on the pan, you want to make sure the whole thing just makes solid contact. If it's creased up or whatever, it won't cook well. Here we go, we can see a little bubble starting to form. Basically, as soon as it starts getting to this point, because what I don't want is like one big bubble to form and then like there. That's good. Yeah, that's really nice. Because if you have the thing where like a giant bubble forms in your tortilla, like look what's happening now, the spot where that contacts, it's gonna cause like a burn mark. It's gonna be not good. So I actually want to like, I'm going to use a little pressure to just make sure that the whole surface of it is actually cooking evenly on the pan. Oh, look at that, that's beautiful. And look, you can already see the little cracks starting to form. And I just want both sides to be about this much cooked. Any more than that's no good. Less is okay. If it's a little undercooked, it's probably better than if it's overcooked, because an undercooked tortilla is just a little bit doughy and chewy, but an overcooked one, like, you can't really use it because it just breaks when you try and actually wrap stuff in it. Like, that's fine. That'll be fine. I'm going to put it on top of the previous tortilla and put the lid back on. I want the heat of the tortillas stacked on each other to help, like, just finish them cooking, kind of. Boom, like that. So when it's starting to rise up off the pan, boom, flip it, pow. It gets those nice little brown spots you want. This pan at this point is pretty hot, but if I had it on full heat, it'd have gotten too hot by now. So that's why I don't quite put it on full blast, because what happens is, like, your first tortilla might be really nice, but then your pan will overheat by the time you're doing the second one, and that's what you don't want. So if you've got it on, like, 3/4 medium high, you don't have the same problem. And again, that's also why I have a thick base pan. This pan that I've got here is pretty good, but what you really want is like a cast iron skillet or something that's really going to retain the heat. There we go. That's the last one here. Here come the bubbles. This is perfect. It's behaving exactly how I want it to. See, this is what will cause a problem when I flip it. So actually, gently press that down, flip that. That's looking great. Gently push the air out of it. And like, you see how that took about 20 seconds on the second flip? I could have taken it off then. It would have been fine. It would have been edible. Like, this is lovely. Turn the stove off. Cool, so I've got the actual tortillas here now, and you can see I've put this lid on top of them. It's just held in some of that condensation, and I guess my theory is that the heat and the moisture just helps them, because look, if I have a look at these, take the lid off, I can see that that's actually like pliable tortilla. You can fold it in half, it doesn't break. It's actually gonna like hold ingredients for you. And yeah, that's all there is to it. So that was 125 grams of flour, 60 water, 15 oil, big pinch of salt, and a half teaspoon of baking powder, and that always makes 4 of them. If you want really big ones, like big wrap size ones, you probably want 100 gram balls instead, and just roll them out until they're the right size. These are like nice little hand-sized mini ones. I really like them because you have, like, 2 of them. That's your dinner. Little tacos sort of size. Alright, well, cheers. I hope that was really helpful to you, Isaac, and I look forward to seeing you next time.